This is probably the single most important factor to consider for your exam. And I actually think it's the biggest disservice to HR pros sitting for the exam because we've been trained to think the complete opposite. Hi, my name is Angela Murray, SHRM SCP, SPHR, and your favorite HR exam coach. Welcome back to HR Exam Prep with Angela, where we talk about all things HR exam related. And tonight, I'm going to answer a question that's probably at the top of the list for anybody that is currently studying for their SHRM CP or their SCP. And that is, how do I pass the exam? I'm sure that's what everybody wants to know, but before we get into that main topic, we are going to answer our question of the week. And tonight's question of the week comes from Eriskine Talton. And Eriskine writes, I have the 2023 SHRM Learning Management System. Would it be okay to study it, or do I need the 2024 system since I won't be testing until July? Or should I just add more current supplemental material to make up the difference? Eriskine, if you have the 2023 Learning Management System, you do not need to purchase the 2024 Learning Management System. SHRM gives you access to that system for 18 months, and the content contained within the system during that 18-month period is going to be relevant for your upcoming exam. If they make any changes to the system during that 18-month period, they will give you a transition document, and that transition document is going to contain all of the changes that they made, and it's going to tell you everything that you need to know. So you don't need to worry about buying the 2024 system. Besides that, I have never seen SHRM do a complete overhaul of the system where you would need to start back to square one. They may add some terms, they may change the framework, but I have never seen them do a complete overhaul of the system. So you don't need to be worried about that. The second part of your question is, do you need to buy supplemental material? It's possible that you might want to buy some supplemental material if some of it is more beneficial to you, maybe because it breaks the questions or your material down a little bit more. But you don't need to buy supplemental material. SHRM's Learning Management System is a full system, which means it has everything you need inside of that system. It's going to keep up with your progress. It gives you the knowledge that you need. It has practice questions, and it also has pre-test and post-test. So that is everything you need in that one system. Now, a lot of times people do opt for supplemental material, and it's not because they don't have what they need. It's because some other materials give you another outlook. They give you a better perspective. Some of them just speak the language is a little bit more in layman's terms. So it's not because you need it, but you may want supplemental material. So I won't discourage you or encourage you from getting supplemental material, but just know that 2023 system does have everything you need within the system. Okay, without further ado, let's move on to what you came here for. That is our main topic. How do I pass this exam? Well, there are 3 things that you can do to help prepare and pass the SHRM exam. The first thing you need to do is master the SJIs. Number 2, you need to think effective, not efficient. And number 3, use the SHRM Bask. Now let's talk about number 1, mastering the SJIs. And I already know what you're thinking. Easier said than done. And you're probably right. But there is a strategy that you can use to help you. The first thing you need to do is try to determine the competency or the knowledge domain that question is coming from. That's going to help you to determine the skill that the question wants you to demonstrate. That's important in breaking the question down. For example, if you determine the question is derived from talent acquisition, then think about the overarching themes of talent acquisition. Think about things like orientation and onboarding. We know that's mentioned a lot of times there. Think about succession planning or branding. All of those things are where you need to demonstrate competency. If it's communication, think of the overarching themes of communication, things like active listening or effective feedback. These overarching themes are where you will need to demonstrate competencies in the different situations that you're going to be presented with. Then after you've identified where the question has been extracted from, there are 3 things that you need to look for in those questions. Let's talk about the first thing you need to look for. You want to look to see if the organization's strategy is revealed in that question. So, for example, if the question says that the organization is a leader in innovation, you want to ensure that the answer you choose does not contradict that innovative leadership. The second thing is you have to remember that the first step in any problem is information gathering. And you can gather information in a lot of different ways. You can use research, you could use interviews, there could be focus groups. All of that aligns with analyzation. Number 3, ensure that your answer shows strategy on the part of the HR professional. You want to make the HR professional actionable. If you keep those 3 things in mind, you can master the SJIs. Number 2, you want to think effective, not efficient. This is probably the single most important factor to consider for your exam. And I actually think it's the biggest disservice to HR pros sitting for the exam, because we've been trained to think the complete opposite of effectiveness. But the HR exams are not structured with efficiency in mind. They consider strategic value. Efficiency is concerned with input, meaning as HR professionals, we've been trained to pay careful attention to the resources that we use on the front end. So we pay attention to things like finances or time or even the effort that we have to put in. But effectiveness is only concerned with impact of the output. So there is no consideration of money or time or effort. The only consideration is that the output adds value to the organization and it overcomes the problem. That is why some of the answer choices seem to be so far removed from our reality. And the only time that we really need to think about input on the SHRM exam is if it negates the organization's strategy. If that strategy is revealed in the question, then you need to think about it. So for example, if an organization uses a cost leadership strategy, then obviously at that point, you have to consider finances because it's how they create value for their stakeholders. Otherwise, you're only concerned with making sure that the results overcome the problem that you're presented with. And you don't worry about the effort or time that you need to put in on the front. Finally, I cannot say this enough. Let the Bask be your guide. It's there for a reason. After all, the key concepts are there. They are going to tell you exactly what you need to know. The proficiency indicators are going to help to make sure that you are mastering all of the things that you need before test day. The SHRM really is the most important resource that you're going to use. It is written by SHRM itself. There's nothing else that is more important to you. Yes, you'll need knowledge sources. The SHRM Bask on its own is not going to be sufficient. So yes, you'll need other knowledge sources, but those knowledge sources are where you are going to extract the information that SHRM already is telling you you need to know. So if you haven't implemented the SHRM Bask yet, get it. All you have to do is download it. Go to the SHRM website and download it, and then start following it. Don't just download it, okay? So if you follow all of these things, I can assure you that you can be successful on your exam. Now, I did want to mention that we were supposed to get into our leadership theories this week, and I know that I promised you guys that last week, but as I was starting to put everything together, I realized that the leadership theories aren't like a one and done. There are so many of them, and they have so many nuances, and it's so very intricate that I didn't just want to throw them all at you guys in the hopes that you would grab them out of the sky. So I did want to spend some time on those leadership theories. So I decided that instead we were going to make it a series. And I'm going to start that series in May. So just hang on tight. If you came here looking for the leadership theories, I've not done away with those theories. We're just putting them on hold for a little while just to make sure that I can spend the time that's necessary and that you guys are getting from those from the videos what you came to get. Okay. All right. So we are going to move on to our final segment before we wrap it up tonight. And our final segment is something new. It's called What I Did Instead of Study. Now remember, I was where you are right now. It's been a while ago, but I was there. And I can remember like having all the good intentions of studying, like having my study plan together. I had time set aside and put it on the calendar. Somehow got distracted by the strangest things. One time I got distracted studying and ended up baking a cake. I don't even know how it happened. I started really well. I think I got hungry or something, went for a snack and ended up baking a cake and didn't even get studied. So I asked you guys to send in the funniest of things that sidetracked you while you were studying. And I pulled some of the funniest answers, and I'm going to share them with you tonight. So tonight, this is called What I Did Instead of Study. This first one comes from Carolyn. Carolyn didn't use her last name, but I'm going to tell you what Carolyn did while she was supposed to be studying. Carolyn says, I realized that studying in my bedroom was too distracting, so I decided to put my desk in my daughter's room, who had left for college. Well, when I got there, I noticed it was pretty dusty, and I decided that I at least should do that dusting before setting up shop. Afterward, I figured I may as well mop. 3 hours later, I cleaned the room top to bottom, including the closet, and it was time for bed. These kind of things happen. Like, you have the intentions to get this stuff done, but it never comes together. All right, so the next one comes from Katrina Huff, and Katrina says, I was in the middle of studying. Katrina had actually took the leap. She was in the middle of studying when I ran across the term three-legged stool model. I had never heard of this, so I looked it up. After I clicked images to show me what the model looked like, they showed a picture of a really cute stool at Wayfair. I thought it would be pretty good for my patio, so I started perusing the Wayfair site, and I ended up with a fire pit that I haven't used to this day. That is so funny, Katrina. Okay, the next one. I was studying in my office, which has a huge window. I looked up and I saw a hawk swoop down and grab a bunny. I was so disturbed. I started to think about the bunny's family and how they would probably be waiting for him to return. I created a whole scene for the next 30 minutes. The next one says, this one is from Jeffrey H. Says, I was taking some practice questions and one of them mentioned something about a Japanese tea ceremony. I was intrigued and wanted to see if it was real, so I looked it up. I started looking at all the pictures and thought how beautiful Japan was. The next thing I know, my wife and I were off to Japan in 4 months. That is so funny. How did studying turn into a trip to Japan? Well, I know your wife was happy about that, and I guess you were happy too. But I don't know how you got there, but that is pretty funny. All right, this is our last one. It comes from Tabitha Z. It says, I read somewhere that meditation music helps you to study. Well, I was looking for some good meditation music, but ended up on an AI site that helps you create customized playlists. I figured it would be helpful since I didn't know what I was looking for. I could just describe it to AI and they would put it together for me. The only problem is they have a public playlist library where you can see other people's playlists. I started to see old songs I had forgotten about, and I ended up having an impromptu concert and dance party for about an hour and a half. Then I started to create my own 90s R&B playlist, and I forgot all about what I came to do in the first place. Let me tell you, some Jodeci will make me forget about any kind of studying. So I know the first thing you probably saw on that R&B playlist was Jodeci, and once you click play on Jodeci, the studying was out the window. I could have told you that. Well, guys, these are some funny stories. It's so easy to get distracted when you're studying. I don't know what it is. It's because we don't want to do it anyway. We really don't want to do it anyway. We're doing it out of necessity and because we're responsible adults. So it doesn't take much to distract us, as you can see. Somebody ended up booking a trip to Japan instead of studying. Okay, guys. Well, I had fun with you guys tonight, and I hope this was also helpful too. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and make sure that you are keeping in mind that we are going to be talking about those leadership theories. We're going to have that full series in the month of May, right? So like and subscribe so you can get notifications of when that starts. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.